Welcome to the Afrocentric Woman, where our mission is to inspire Black women to heal core wounds and embrace a luxurious and abundant lifestyle. Thank you for joining me. Let's talk, sis.
Hi, thanks for tuning in. This is the Afrocentric Woman, and I'm coming here today to talk about having compassion for others and to some extent empathy for others without taking action on that feeling, and also not being so confused by people's behavior and having a greater understanding of their behavior. So, okay, so where do I begin? I think that the number one, so let me back up. Having compassion for those who have codependent tendencies, who have people-pleasing tendencies, who care about what people think of them and how they see them. These people are very vulnerable to manipulation, and they're very vulnerable to be hurt by abusive people, people with bad behavior, with negative behavior, because they act on their compassion. These are people who have a moral code and a sense of righteousness and what they feel is righteous, and they sort of extend this moral code to others, sort of a game, sort of like a playbook. Like they have this playbook of life. This is what you do. This is the right way. You've got to color inside the lines. You do this, then you do that. Very kind of rigid in this moral code. And unfortunately, some of us are not as able as others to understand that that code is for you. And sometimes there are people who operate by a completely different code or no code at all. So when you have compassion for someone who has gone through a difficult time, and you know their background, maybe you know why they act the way they do, so you extend yourself, you even overextend yourself by going the extra mile, by sharing information with this person, or by trying to encourage them, and only for this person to follow the natural course of the pattern of the behavior that they always have. And then, we sort of lean back, well, I feel sorry for the person. What I have learned as a person who is very empathetic and has a lot of compassion, especially for children or for people who were hurt when they were children, is that I allow myself to feel my compassion, but I don't act on it always, and sometimes, usually, I don't act on it. I can empathize with people without acting on it. Sometimes I feel sorry that people had to go through certain things as a child, and sometimes I even imagine, wow, what did this person need when they were a little person? What has created the monster that I see today? However, all of those feelings are very much so in suspension, because they don't, I have a mastery and a total control to not put myself in a vulnerable situation or a vulnerable position, just for the simple fact that I feel sorry for someone or that I feel compassion for their situation. I think ultimately the most important aspect of being able to feel compassion without acting on it is to love yourself more than anybody else. That is the key. Self-preservation is key, and you shouldn't have to put yourself in the lion's den or in a hornet's nest or any other extremely dangerous situation because you feel compassion for someone. At the end of the day, you have to love yourself more. You have to love yourself more than you love anybody else, including your own children. You have to love yourself more. And this gives you the fuel to be able to have two distinct feelings, and they can both coexist at the same time. One doesn't cancel out the other, and just because you feel compassion doesn't therefore mean that you need to do anything with it. You can just allow it to just be there. And also, you don't have to beat yourself up for it. I've seen people bash themselves and bash others because other people feel compassion for monstrous people, grown adults who do monstrous acts, violent acts, horrible things. And there may be someone who has compassion for why the person may be in the situation that they're in, and then those people are bashed, and then they bash themselves if they feel it, and they think that the way to really stick it to that person is to not feel any compassion for them, or quote, not feel sorry for them. I typically feel sorry for children. So if there have been a series of things happening to innocent little beings who didn't have control over their life, children coming out of foster care, children with abusive parents, alcoholic parents, or drug addicted parents, children who had to witness domestic violence, children who experienced violence themselves, children who didn't have a stable home. I feel sorry for those children. And I understand that with time, compounding the abuse, oftentimes those children grow up to be adults who are monsters. They're literally monsters. So when we do have a monster in the mix, I have to deal with you as you are. I have to deal with you as the person that presents themselves to me today. I can't go back into the past when you were innocent and young. I have to deal with what is in front of me right now. And if there's something that you're doing or something that you have a pattern of doing that has the potential of harm me, I have to isolate the situation and protect myself. Because no matter how sorry I may feel or how much more compassion I feel, I love myself more, you see? And I have gotten a good handle on my people-pleasing skills and have prioritized pleasing myself. So I'm not willing to trade my comfort or my contentment or my safety for anyone. So that always is the priority. And when your own safety, comfort, and security is the priority, it really does inform what types of actions you take. Because you could grandstand and say, well, this is the right thing to do, or I'm saying this thing because this thing is the truth and the truth needs to be said. But at the end of the day, you kind of have to balance with, what are you trading for communicating this said truth? Are you trying to educate the monster? Is that what you're trying to do? Are you trying to reform the monster? Are you trying to prove a point? And if you are trying to prove a point, what is the cost? Just a simple cost-benefit analysis may assist you in formulating how you want to move around. Because sometimes the cost is too high for making a point. Sometimes the cost is too high for putting your neck out on the line for someone who's doing monstrous actions. No matter the background, no matter your moral code, no matter the, quote, right thing to do. The right thing to do is always preserving yourself. That's always in style. That's always a good thing to do. Some people will be irritated and annoyed by you putting yourself first. Sometimes it's inconvenient to them because maybe they rely on you for something in particular, or they want, maybe you've trained them to expect a certain thing from you. But inconvenience is not it's not gonna be the end of the day to inconvenience someone, because you have to do what's right to protect yourself, you see. So what you can do is kind of understand that these feelings can exist at the same time. You can have a boundary on what you're willing to do, what you're not willing to do. You can also have a requirement for who is worth your energy. And think about that. Like, what level of potential does someone have to warrant your time and attention? And you have to be able to answer that for yourself. What is a mutually beneficial relationship to you? If you are in a service industry, what is the time frame and the energy load that you're willing to serve, even if that's within a job capacity or just because maybe you're just doing community work, or you're just in a capacity to serve, or even maybe in the role you play in your family. What is the limit that you place on that service, you yourself? What is your overflow that you actually have to give? And once you know that, who qualifies to be a beneficiary of said time, attention, or even resources, right? So that may help you, because once you know who qualifies, that will automatically eliminate a lot of people, and you don't even have to so much as even entertain the idea of you don't even have to entertain the idea of supporting, of providing any level of support to these people. And therefore, you don't have to put your neck on the line for people who have a pattern of monstrous behavior. You see what I mean? So allowing things to be without being attached to any outcome, like you don't have to follow things all the way through, so you can just feel bad and hope that they get better. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you need to be attached to the outcome. You need to be attached to their wellness plan, or you see what I mean, or like how they chart their course of getting healthier or better, or stopping the bad behavior. You can just feel that way, have those hopeful feelings. That is more about you than it is about them. That's just about your generous nature, your goodwill, your wishing that people do well. But just because you wish someone well doesn't mean you have to contribute to the wellness. At the end of the day, it may not be worth you risking your safety for their wellness. It's not. And also releasing responsibility. It's not your responsibility to make them well. You only have a responsibility to your minor children. You only have a responsibility to your minor children. Once your children, maybe you can push it to maybe 25-ish, maybe you can push the responsibility a little bit further with the children, just because, children are growing up a little bit slower these days. But once you've done all that you need to do, your duties are fulfilled as a parent, you really don't have any more responsibility to your kids either. You really don't. Everything you do from that point on is of free will. And in your relationships, everything that you do is of free will. And then it becomes more about mutually beneficial relationships. It comes about, this relationship makes sense to me because of XYZ reason, you see. But that's really the only people that you are obligated to. You're not obligated to anybody else for anything else. So the relationships that you choose to pour into, and when you choose to and how you choose to, it's all up to you. And release the guilt of feeling obligated to help people just because they need help. Two things can exist at the same time. They can indeed need help, and that's true, and no one has to deny that. That person needs help. And also, what is true is it's not your responsibility to help them. You don't owe them anything. The only person that you owe anything to is yourself. You owe yourself a good life. You owe yourself the best. You owe yourself peace, tranquility, and to live a good life and to express yourself. And you owe your minor children and your children before they're fully grown. Other than that, that's it. So I'll do another video about creating sort of pools of people and categorizing relationships in your life. This has been a lifesaver for me because I am in the service industry. I do have a big heart. I'm very empathetic. I'm very resourceful, and I'm very wise. So people tend to rely on me in my community for a lot of things. People tend to rely on me for a lot of things. And so I had to figure out a way to manage my energy, and to protect myself, and to figure out where can I um, get something similar to what I'm giving in life. And so I will share that in a totally separate video. So yes, it's perfectly fine. Compassion for others doesn't necessitate action, and being at peace and allowing things to exist at the same time, choosing your own safety and well-being over that of other people is paramount. Managing your own energy and not beating yourself up for the feelings that you do have. Looking at the emotions and inquiring within the emotions and see where they're pointing and see where they're leading. One thing that I have noticed over the years is a lot of times the emotions that we feel for others are really things that we feel for ourselves. There may be something inside of us when we feel this overwhelming need or compulsion to serve someone or give someone some advice or make a grand statement or come out and clear the record or set it straight or whatever the case may be. What the emotions are oftentimes pointing at are needs that we have within ourselves. So this will allow us to refocus and be able to give that to yourself. Is there something that you need to say to express in your own life to help yourself? Is there something that you need help with? And how can you help yourself live a better life? How can you help yourself have more inner peace? As you look out and want to give to others, sometimes that may be a signal for what you need to give yourself. So thank you for listening, and thank you for tuning in. As always, I do appreciate you, and peace.
Thank you so much for sharing your time and attention with the Afrocentric Woman. Special gratitude to our subscribers. If you'd like to stay connected with this channel and you haven't subscribed yet, please do so by hitting the subscribe button and the notification bell. If you like this content, please hit the like button. If you have any comments or thoughts about the content shared, please drop down into the comment section and let us know. Remember, you are worthy, you are enough, you are unique, and you are lovable. And I appreciate you.